The City of Angels is black and gold. You are listening to the Heart of LAFC podcast. And now, Joseph Zacher.
Greetings, Los Angeles. Welcome to episode 351 of the Heart of LAFC podcast. That's right, we're calling this one Collision Course for very obvious reasons, as the number one team in the West faces the number two team in the West. That's right, top of the table clash for once they join us in the competition. But yeah, that's right, we're taking on the Galaxy this week. Also, we get to celebrate another great victory against Colorado. Got a little bit more revenge. The revenge tour continues. Yeah, all good times to be an LAFC supporter, that's for sure. And there's new news about, the shoe jersey, all that drop. There's stuff going on, that's for sure. Of course, to get this done, I need my right-hand man in the mission here. Tony is on. Tony, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well, excited, getting ready and ramped up for this Thursday game. I was gonna say like weekend, but Thursday game at the Rose Bowl. So I'm excited about that. Excited about the win, a very commanding win to keep us in first. Oh, yeah. And we're still a game in hand, but overall doing well.
Hey, Maddie with the Hattie, man, it's beautiful. Quite beautiful, and everything's working. Everything's clicking so far. I'm beyond happy. Let's hope the training sessions go well this week in the lead up. We get no bad news, and we get into this thing full tilt because it is looking like a proper collision course. On the other side of things, they're looking like they're on top of it. So yes, everything's working out to be one hell of a game this week. And yes, it is nice it's on the 4th of July in some ways because, well, it is, a holiday and all that. So tailgate can be full in effect, and some of us can survive and take the long weekend to do that. I know some of you can't, but hey, at least some of us get to enjoy that. And that being said, of course, let's get into it. Let's talk about that first game so we can get right into the one I know y'all want to talk about. Yep, let's talk about Colorado. So, of course, fielding against Colorado, I got a team that took us down in their own house after Martinez had that horror few minutes and got himself red carded. Hey, got to come back to our house where you know what we do. So how do we line this one up? Well, for LAFC, we had Kamara, of course, as our striker. We had Bogus and Bouanga as the wingers. Sanchez, Tillman, and Atuesta, our classic midfield, was in place. Long and Murillo were your center backs for this one, and Palencia and Hollingshead on the outside. Of course, Lloris back in net. Would you expect anything different? I wouldn't. So there you go. Now, Colorado, on the other hand, no shock. No shock at all. We talked about who they were going to field, and that's pretty much the way it fell. You had Stefan in goal, Abubakar and Maxo as your center backs, Rosenberry and Vines as your outside backs. Defensive midfielders were Bassett and Ronan. Attacking midfield, of course, Mihailovic with Cabral and Harris on the outsides. And, of course, target man was Navarro. Yeah, no shock. That's what they come out with. They've been running with this. It's been working pretty good. Guess what? When you come to LAFC's house, things kind of get a little bit funky. So I'm going to pass this one to Tony, and let's talk about those highlights, sir.
Quick little highlights, and just start off the backs. 20th minute, one of many with an assist from Bouanga, the hat trick hero of the day, Bogus. Sorry for the spoilers, but Bogus with a very nice, quick tap in. Great pass and great cross pass. I would say, like I said, it was a cross, but still on the floor
with authority. That's
with authority, and great finish by Mr. Bogus to put us up 1-0. Up until then, a couple yellow cards. Maria, of course, with the yellow card, but nothing more to say about the first half. Just more of a dominant. It was a very dominant way to win. Funny. I know we talk about the snow game and it's not a game, but funny when there's a level playing field of actual weather we can play on the field. Kind of changes up the situation.
We don't like snow, and that's why we had trouble in RSL, and we don't like altitude. We always had issues in Colorado. Guess what? Playing our house, different game. Yeah, first half was definitely dominant for us. There's no question. Again, when we play at home, 32-52 is kicking off. The crowd's doing what they do. Home cooking, swagger. Oh boy, I mean, if you were there for warm-ups, you could see the guys, everything was just hitting right.
Mhm.
You can tell even when they're taking their shots beginning before the game starts. There's just an extra little oomph to things. It's nice. It's nice to see, and it showed in the game as well. Of course, second half comes along, and hey, we're not done yet. We got more to show off, right?
Oh yeah, in the 58th minute, for the brace, Bogus by himself, unassisted, takes over, and 4 minutes later, I forgot to mention this in the first half because it would have lead onto this. Cabral with the second yellow and red card, so down 10 men. So that gave us the advantage, and you can see how much it took the advantage to us when we finally took advantage of a 10-men squad that against our opponent. Let's be honest, like anytime we get 10 men on the field, somehow we decide to just not play our best and do the work that we need to do. But it was done really well. And the last but not least, 72nd minutes, Mr. Bogus, assisted by the second place all-time goal scorer in the MLS, Kamara, for the brace. Mind you, he got Carrera with a nice little flick, found him, and before Max can even, if you watch the highlights or we're watching from home, you hear Max, can he get the boom right before he can even finish that sentence? Got the hat trick of the day, and we had an opportunity from Mr. Angel and everything, but after that, it was just again still dominant, 10 men on the field, easy win, thank God, and keeps us on top of the West with a game in hand ahead of everybody else.
I mean, it's impressive to me that even after making so many substitutions in this game, because once we were up a man, you started seeing the subs come in, right? And so at some point we had Bouanga out, Kamara out, Bogus out, Sanchez out, Tillman out. They're getting ready for the next one. And you actually brought in some defensive cover. You brought in some kids basically to run this out. And at the end of the day, Colorado managed only one shot on goal the whole game. They've been hurting teams this season, like putting some in. Not against us. We found our way. They had shot attempts all of 10 while we had 22. Again, dominating. Really was, and it could have been a lot worse than 3. I gotta be honest. If it was a tighter need, we'll say, right? We need to run this thing. There's not a midweek game coming up. You leave the guys in a bit longer. This could have easily been a 5-0. Easily could have been 5. And so, hey, it works out for itself. We needed what we needed to do. Tillman, of course, was sitting on that yellow card, so him not getting one was a huge deal for us, and another reason why I take him off the field. So now we get him for the big game, right? Rivalries are what they are. You need to get them. You need to get your full roster out there. And I gotta be honest, most times we play those guys, we don't have a full roster. There's always a key element missing from the match for us. We always kind of get ripped off in these games. The last time I think we played over at the Rose Bowl, we had Duenas as a right back and a couple other people hodgepodging because we were burnt out, right? Remember how many games we were playing? And there was nothing in that game. There was no energy. And it was sad to see because you knew if we faced them with a little bit of rest or in the same amount of rest that they were getting, it'd be a very different story. Well, guess what? Now the subs were done proper. The guys should be properly rested and healthy and ready to go. Chanot looked okay for the minutes he played, so we know he's going to be ready to go. It's all where it needs to be in the lead up to all this fun. I do see a couple comments out there, guys. Definitely comment. I don't care which side you're on in this thing. We don't mind it. Let it rip. We have fun with this anyway. So if you got something to say, throw it up there because in a few seconds here, we're going to go to you guys and ask you a few questions. Of course, before we do that, we want to mention some other happy news on the week. And you can all thank Araceli for this one. LAFC 2, they got their result as well. They won 3-2. That was Friday night, right? The night before. A little different, beating the Rapids second team 3-2. On that one, Javier Hernandez scored. Adrian Wabolo, who's really promising, he scored as well. Facundo Nunez, Marlon Vargas for the other side, and of course, Guerra scored 90+2, I think. That was what happened there. So they're back on the road. They're going to go to traveling to St. Louis. So that makes it a little interesting for 4 p.m. kickoff, it says. They're now 5th in the West at this time. So there you go. Ups and downs a little bit for the guys, but again, it's been promising. But let's be honest, when you have a game against Carson in the middle of the week, you have a game the next day. Yeah, you're not going to waste the guys you need for that game who did feature on the night, right? Mr. Dwayne, yes. Mr. Angel. Yeah, you can't really use them the night before. You got to have them full tilt. So the sacrifice, right, of success, you could say. All right, Tony. Shall we go to music? Should we go to community news, or we should get some comments out of the way here?
Let's get some comments, and then we'll go into the other stuff.
Let's do it. All right, let's see what you guys have to say out here. Couple that I saw. First one on the deck, Jason. And there you go. Says, good evening. Like the early show. A little bit early, but not that early. Early in the week, that's for sure. Monday is a little weird for us. That's for sure. Mendo on as well. Says, what up, Tony? Joseph, Heart of LAFC comrades. North End, true. Yes. He says not having a midweek game has helped LAC coaching staff review and make corrections for the following match. It's helping. Yeah. Again, think of last year and that crazy circus that we were dealing with, and now we can just focus on being the best in the league. It's played itself, and honestly, the form that we're in right now, I don't think most of the season we had that last year because we were just in a whirlwind. It's clean. The guys are playing clean right now, and even pulling off jump for LA football clubs from the seats. It's fun. It's fun to see. Mendo says he didn't expect a clean sheet. I don't think any of us did, to be honest. Colorado scores a lot of goals. They're fine on the scoring. We know this. They hurt us last time, but even so, with Chanot not being the starter, I think also a lot of us were like, okay, maybe we'll give up one. We kind of do that, especially late in games. They were dialed in. It was good. It also says he's digging that Atuesta is taking long shots. Can't always be give and go plays. Yeah, I mean you gotta switch things up, right? You can't be predictable. Once you become predictable, that's when you lose your games. So like take on Maddie, right? Scoring the hat trick, playing the wing, playing center forward, playing in the midfield when needed, being all over the place, approaching his attack from all over the place. How do you plan for that as a team? On top of that, having Kamara taking the space he takes, and of course, Boanga, the show, right? Even though Maddie's catching him, which is wild. Yeah, what are you gonna do, right? It's hard to predict how LAC is gonna approach you as well because we have switched things up. So it's been good. It's been good. And yeah, we need more from that. That's for sure. Ox is on as well. All love, brother. Thanks for checking in from Kansas. Wish you were here this week, man. Honestly, big time wish you were here for the fun this week. That's for sure. Mendo says LeJonas brought me back to early 2000s new metal and sound heavier as well, right? I mean, there was a little bit of rap vibes to it. It's kind of all over the place if you check all the songs, but dude, yeah, man, it's a heavier sound. I like it. Good for a drive, that's for sure. Yeah, I enjoy it. That's why I put it on there, guys. You know, something I like. Let's see. Burke says, welcome, Burke. Says, good evening, gents. Stoked for Monday episode. Hey, man, I'm getting through it. It's first day of school for my students. So there you go. Getting it done. Yeah, man. When we get midweek, I kind of like the Mondays too. That's for sure. Mendo says, almost got my Murillo goal, but has been good defensively as of late. Hey, if he doesn't get any more goals this year, but we get a bunch of clean sheets because of his efforts, I think we'll all take that trade in, except, MLS Cup final and maybe putting one away, those are worth it. Yeah, man, I'm happy with where he's at right now. But again, Chanot's back, so we got options. Mendo, good question. He says, how key is it to have veteran MLS players like Sanchez, Kamara, and Hollingshead? Well, I mean, Hollingshead, I'll talk them all through, and Tony's in on this too. Hollingshead's going to probably be the all-time leading scorer as a defender in the league when he's all said and done with this. He just,
100%.
keeps doing what he's doing. He can hit from anywhere. Another unpredictable player. How do you defend that, right? Has the mental fortitude, the maturity to know when to go up, when to come back. He rarely gets caught, right? Communication is there. Sanchez, everywhere he's gone, he's led. He is a captain's captain. He really is trusted by the players. And I'll say this about Kamara: the guys are having fun. The guys there's camaraderie there, and I think it's as close as it's ever been because of him. If you watch and you see the way the guys react around him, don't take it too serious. You're professional, right? But remember, it's still a game. And it can be hard. It can be painful. It takes many years, right? For him, a lot of grind, but you got to keep going, right? And he still finds a smile on his face, and he still gets the reaction from the guys. And I think he's that one of those players that's one of those locker room players and glue type of players, right? He keeps things together. If there's a conflict, I think it gets resolved quickly because of a player like him. So for me, he's been a revelation for us, not only because he got a couple goals, but again, the intangibles. He does so much more. Tony, your thoughts about so much veteran presence this year?
It's what we need. It's always like the missing element for the first couple seasons. It was always like we don't have a veteran player. Well, veteran player as in MLS, because we've had veteran players before, but not an MLS veteran who's been in the league for multiple years, knows how the league works, how to weather these storms of, the summer games, the last winter games fall games of the season and everything like that. So it's always nice to have those again. Sanchez, you see what he's done in KC. Araceli, if she was here, could attest to that. Hollins had just a natural, just locker room guy, a very leadership guy, a very community-based guy too, from all the stuff he does. And then again, Kamara, not saying he's Chicho, but he gives that Chicho vibe of just playfulness and fun.
Yeah, dude, when Maddie scored the hat trick, it says straight running to him. Did you see what he did?
No.
He ran down the entire 32-52 giving high fives before then doing a slide tackle on Bogus as he thought the celebration was over. It was pretty funny to watch, but he just went across everybody. It was cool to see. Really cool to see. Again, the connection is there. And then don't forget, we also have Chanot with us now, who's won an MLS Cup with New York City FC. You have Lloris, where, dude, can you doubt his experience?
No.
Talk about the been there, done that. It's all through this roster now.
Lloris, I would say more World Cup based and tournament based style. He is more veteran.
Yeah.
League, we already unfortunately.
Yeah, he's Tottenham. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Don't say those words, not today. No. Think of the better blue, right? The prettier blue. Do it that way. But yes, he's been there, done that anyway, right? If you're gonna get through the doldrums, the guy knows the doldrums. But he also knows how to get to the glory. So, and he's playing different. Let's be honest. He's not what we saw a month ago. That's for sure. It's a different. He looks like a completely different player the way he approaches it, and it's good. They're holding each other accountable. Let's move on. We got Ox here back again. He says, would have loved being out there with y'all. Miss y'all, that's for sure. I know Pop Ox will be with us in the stands and at the tailgate, and when he's there, you're there in spirit, that's for certain. And I'm sure I'm going to see you on his cell phone at some point during that day. It also said, also shout out to the 3252 for always being the 12th player. Not easy, but you guys always bring it. Yeah, last game, definitely a little more dialed in than they have been in the past. You could see gaining steam, that's for sure. I know they've had some really good practices as of late. That's right, they put in extra hours. It's not just at the stadium, guys. They did put in extra work. Just ask the capo next to me right now. They would put in extra work to get to where we want to be. They're working towards it, and it's going to be even stronger, I'll say, by the time we get to midweek, right, Tony?
No, yeah, 100%. Like, we've been putting more of trying to change the way we practice, and then also changing. Well, how do we say this? Bringing back the old, how it's supposed to be, and actually, going forward with it and actually doing what we need to do. So the practice has been good. Again, just tweaks here and there, but some new chants coming up, some new things that are or eventually may come in through. But again, a lot of practice. If you ever, I'll say this, if you ever want to come and, practice a new chance with us or just be around that just to see how it goes, hit up your supporter group and, they can give you the time and just show up and, all welcome. Just, be there to chant and learn.
Yeah, it goes back to our old days, man. Be honest, not that old, but parking lots and getting the job done, right? I mean, you remember that, Tony? Going out there and making noise before you even had a stadium built. That's what we
Yeah.
do. You got to be ready for it. And so, sometimes you forget these things a little bit or kind of get away from it. But at the end of the day, a supporter group is only as good as what they do in the stands. That's the primary. And if they're dialed in, then you see what's happening, and what happens at our ground when our guys kick off. So it's good. It's real good right now. Kickball puck, good point here, and we'll throw that in there. Definitely. Said Larice went from supposedly the worst keeper to start the season to MLS All-Star. Well, I'll say this: he was honestly, if you looked like the expected goals to go, I mean, basically the stats suggested that he wasn't making the stops he needed to make. That is true. A month ago, we were all angry, right? Even when we were winning games. I mean, that San Jose game was just had to be the lowest point I've seen him at. You remember that?
Yeah.
Low point. Then we go on this streak, and the confidence, of course, builds because you're on a streak. But he's been called upon in a few of these games where he really had to do something big, and he has. He's had the big saves. We've seen that happening where he's gone from being kind of a liability, especially in dead ball situations, to really leading things. And I think Chanot's one of the reasons why, if you see there the way they communicate with each other, it's a little heavy, guys. There's definitely accountability being directed, and I think it's now paying off. He's in it now. There's no doubt. Now, in terms of the MLS All-Star, I will say this, thankfully, Tony, how many are we losing? Absolute minimum, right?
2, Boanga and Maurice, congratulations. But I'll say this as I'm wish they didn't go. Honestly, I'm happy for them. They get to go out there and represent us and everything like that. But realistically, I'd rather them stay home, get some rest in, train if they need to on with us instead of just learning a new system for one game and just go with that.
Oh, and the skills competition and all that other
Mhm.
fun stuff. Yeah, I would rather them not have to get the flight miles, right? And
Mhm.
just rest it. But it is what it is. It's the cost of being the best in the league, right? For Denny Mwanga. And they were what, coaches or commissioner picks, not even the vote, right?
Yeah, they were that, but it's just again, um, there's a lot of players on our team that are all stars and should be on that team. Again, it all goes back to A, fan voting, B, also the way we started the season wasn't the all-star of the games for any of those players, so that's fine. But at the end of the day, I'm okay with this. We have a representation, they're going out there, but I would rather them stay home and not get those extra miles on them.
Yeah, no risk. I'd rather have no risk and keep doing what we do. So I'm with you there. All right. So looks like Mendoza says Blanco only wants to go back to Columbus, turn the MLS Cup back to LA. Why did he want to go back to that house? Right? Nobody wants. That's bad memories, bad juju over there. So yeah, he'll go. He'll be a good representative. He'll come back. Hopefully everything will be fine and we move on and act like it never happened. That's kind of how I feel about All-Star games lately. It's kind of over it. Unless it's in our house, it's kind of like, well, okay, well, if I catch it, I catch it. I know. I'm not a spokesperson for the league, very obviously. Uh, I'm with Tony. Stay healthy. That's key. All right, guys. We're going to come back to you guys. I know after the next two things we talk about, you're definitely going to want to add in. So don't hesitate. In a little bit, we'll jump everybody back into this mix. Get your questions up and ready to go because we are definitely transitioning to community, Final Club Minute, and of course, the preview of previews. So, all right, Tony, I'm going to go to you first. What have you got for community news, my friend?
That one is more under wraps. There is tailgate information. Ask your leadership for your SGs for that one, and then there's an there's some other stuff going on. Again, ask your SG leadership for what's going on if you haven't already had the information. That's all I can say on this week. I kind of have to keep things a little bit quiet. There is a watch party out there. I believe D9U is holding one. So don't have that in front of me at the moment. So apologies. I'll post that in our socials probably when we get off the air. But that's about it for community news.
And that is all for your LAFC clandestine community news. We'll keep it that way. All right. On to the Vinyl Club Minute. You guys heard the song pop. We're just going to go with it. Good old Rich and his merry band of entertainers and amazing artists got another one for us. All right. So this time we've got a new video out, a new or extended song. Yeah. This time by OT Genesis, Bobby Castro, DJ Flicked. This one's called Por la Cultura. Tony, this is the full version of something we've been hearing already, right?
Yeah, we've been hearing it a lot around saying now it's officially released. You can listen to it in your car while working out, wherever you listen to your music, Spotify, Apple, anywhere.
It's all over the place. That's for sure. So it is now officially out and about. Enjoy that and including all the other songs we've already released, because at some point we're going to have like a full-on album. It's growing. It's definitely growing. So yeah, enjoy the sounds as we lead up into another rivalry match. And if that's the time to do it, that's right. It is definitely the time to do it. Carson, LAFC at the Rose Bowl, an evening in the heat. I know we're going back July 4th, Independence Day. Were we all asking for it? I can't think of a single person that was asking for it. Did we really want it? Can't think of a single person on this side of things that didn't really wanted that. But here we go. So our home game, because we were supposed to have the 2 home games, now turns into an away game. 2 years straight, they get to an extra home game. Yeah, that's what's happening. But we're going for it, there is no official boycott like some people like to claim. There is no boycott. There's nothing like that. Don't believe everything that you read, especially on social media or certain clubs, podcasts. Let them do their thing. That ain't our thing.
Well,
they know less than they think.
Yeah. Well, if you do want a ticket, just be working for UCLA or Glendale, or just scan the QR code.
Or buy products at Nikki Sports or Warehouse Shoe Sale or you name it. There's a million different places that are giving away free tickets because that's what you do when you need to pad an audience. Of course, if you're wearing black and gold, it will be the full price and you'll have to pay nearly $20 in fees to go to the game. But if you're on that side, you can pretty much go for free. Oh, it's like $56 parking. Yeah. They want to make it as inconvenient as possible for us so they can make it look like something that doesn't really exist. Right? It's crowd sculpting is what this is. Because if you did play it straight, 50-50 on the stadium, everyone had the same rights on both sides of this thing, it would be a proper show. But we're not going to get that. We're going to get a sanitized version where one gets less, the other gets every, and one side's paying a whole lot more. Okay, cool. Some of us are in it. Most of us are in it. We're still going to sing louder and do our job when our boys know what's up. They know what's up, and they'll take care of business. I'll leave it at that. Let's talk about the game itself. All right. Kicking things off. What's going on? Well, they're coming into this game with 40 points. We're coming into this game with 40 points. Of course, we're on the top of the standings because we've got 12 wins and they've got 11. So yes, we're on top of it now. Well, how are things looking for them? They're on a 4-game winning streak. How are things looking for us? Well, we can't remember. I think the last time we lost was to San Jose, and that was like a month ago or more. Yeah, we just keep flying. Yeah, the last time he did a road trip, right? It's been a long way out. Now, how are things looking in terms of performance and the numbers? Funny thing is, we are equal on goals, 41 each. With better goal differences on our side by all of 4 goals. We've got 18, plus 18 there, plus 14. Assists are the same. Our defense has been just a little bit better. If you look also at the record, again, we're 12-4-4. They're 11-7-3. The biggest one, and Tony will tell you this, and all of us will tell you this, it does not matter what the standings are. It does not matter what the trends are. It doesn't matter who's hot, who's not, who's healthy, who's injured. It doesn't matter. None of it ever matters in this rivalry because at the end of the day, the record right now is they've got 9 wins, we've got 8 wins, and there's 5 draws. That's what it is. And of course, that one win you're talking about for them includes when they played our children in an Open Cup match. Okay, cool. What does that mean for us? That means we get to go to the Rose Bowl and officially tie this record after a few seasons too many to make that happen. But guess what? It is there. It's the last stat they have on us. Maybe that's why they get 2 home games this year. But it's the last thing they've got on us. Otherwise, y'all know where the dramatics are at. Who's taking who out and all that fun stuff. Now, couple things to know. We're pretty much, again, both second best in the league or third best in the league because of the production. So yeah, it's expected to be high scoring, right? We're kind of expecting a bit of fireworks before and after the game. Tony, I look to you, man. How are you feeling in the lead up to this thing?
Like I was telling you earlier, I just weird vibes always, but it's a derby week. It always is a weird vibe. If I ever go into a rivalry game calm and collected, I don't like it. I think that's more strange to me going into this game with, oh, we got this, everything like that. Anytime it's a derby game or a derby week, everything like that, my nerves are always on high end. Not because I don't think we can win. It's just you're playing our rivals. You know what I mean? It doesn't like
Yeah,
you say. Yeah, what you say? Like you're gonna say like high scoring, but it doesn't matter if it could have been like we were the worst offensive team for both of us. This game turns into a high scoring match every single time.
every time it goes off. Now, the other thing is usually we go into this and we're way up in the standings compared to them. Usually we're way ahead of these guys, and it hasn't been close. And yes, they do make the playoffs, and then we usually end their season for them. Right? That's been the trend. This is the first time where both of us are on top of the table.
Yeah.
Both of us are the promising teams from the West that could pull away from everybody else. I think RSL will be the only one that's gonna track with these two. That it looks like the 3-horse race in the West, which is fun, but there's also the supporter shield conversation. Both sides are in the race for that. I know it's one of those years where it's actually looking like you're going to have a proper race all the way to the All-Star break and possibly beyond if people stay healthy and get it done. And of course, we're going to be bolstering our roster soon. They're going to be bolstering theirs. So even more strength for both sides. So it's really, I wouldn't call it the highest stakes because it ain't a playoff game, but probably the best form both teams have ever been in when they've had to face each other. I think that's probably the honest assessment to this as well. They're at their best. We're at our best. Should be a show. Now, who are you looking at? Who are the guys to worry about in this game? Or at least, yeah, I'd say maybe worry. Joveljic, of course, familiar face, always trouble for us. He's in 19 games played. He's got 12 goals. Yeah, he's producing because he's playing, right?
Yeah.
Just has trouble with that. They've not really respected him, I think, as much as they should have in the past. They've got Peck, right? 6 goals. Puig, 6 goals. Paintsill, of course, one of their newest stars for this year, 6 goals. Fagundes, from another familiar face that finds ways to hurt us, but from another team. He's got 3 goals. Yoshida, their captain, he's got 2 coming from the back. Interesting thing is, if you look at their normal starting 11, I think all but 2 players have put the ball in the net this year. They're producing. They are producing just like us, right? We see the goals scored, it's equal. Like these teams produce. Who's going to set things up? I mean, we have, of course, now that Puig is back, he played against San Jose. He's the guy. You expect him to be the guy, but others have stepped up for them. Of course, Peck, of course. Delgado is always around doing his thing, and we've had issues with him in the past. Joveljic, he's got a good number of assists, but there's some familiar faces. We know these guys. It's not a shock to see what they're doing. Now, coming off of it, last game they played was against San Jose, and we know what we did to San Jose when we played them. Well, for them, it was a 3-0 victory. That's right. Both teams coming off shutouts, and they did it on the road against those guys at Stanford. looking at the roster, this is another thing that I've noticed. They're pretty consistent as to what to expect. Things should get a little bit funky when certain stars get there, but um, who's in goal? Well, y'all know who's in goal. Another familiar face, McCarthy. Yoshida and Neal last time were their starting backs. I think the game before that it was Yoshida and Caceres, but I believe Caceres is now he's still available, so he could be the option. Looking also at their outside, Out and Yamane were in the field last game. Delgado, Cerrillo were their defensive midfielders. Of course, Fagundes was their attacking midfielder to start the game. Okay. Peck and Paintsill were your outside attackers. And of course, Jovic was your target man. And eventually, of course, the star went in, right? Puig went in for Paintsill. And yeah, let the show go on. That's what they do. Game before that, who was available? Jovic up top. Fagundes as your central attacking midfielders. Lepley was the starter in midfield next to Cerrillo. Same guys as attacking midfielders in the back. Yeah, Caceres the only difference, and of course McCarthy, the troublemaker, in goal. So, what should we expect in this game? Well, it could be Neal or Caceres, right, as your defenders. That's, I think, the one thing that could get jumped around a little bit. Otherwise, I think you're kind of expecting Delgado, Cerrillo this time. I think would be the choice. Tony, you're looking at that lineup. Who do you think is gonna feature?
Honestly, the only ones I know for a fact, just from like the one game maybe I catch of them on passing by, it's just like, of course, again, it's, I know I should be watching more, but it's like I don't want to give them the views, blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera. It's just gonna be like I'm gonna say Puig is always gonna be the one I know is always gonna start, especially with this one. He wants to show up for this game because he doesn't know what winning is, and even when he was at one of the biggest clubs in Europe, couldn't do anything there, so whatever. But then of course McCarthy, of course, every time he shows up, he wants to show up against us and to see like, oh, you should have kept me, etc., etc. But he chose for more money instead of passion and loyalty. Could have done that somewhere else, but decided to go down the road to a sewer.
His choice, his stench, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he has done what he's done, and part of our history, yes, but now forever our history, not a part of us anymore. I think some things to, of course, be concerned with or not concerned with, at least respect, of course, is Yoshida is definitely holding it down for them in the back and really leading things.
Yeah.
He's been a good leader for them, more than more than we've seen before from that side. Really interesting to see how Puig will handle it if he is going to start in this game, since he just came in for the first time after a layoff in the last game as a substitute. I think he starts and goes as long as he possibly can because of the rivalry. I don't think they're going to wait on him and then bring him in if necessary. Nah, this is the one he's getting ready for. That's for sure. Of course, that puts Fagundes as the odd man out, right? And I would kind of predict that because the others can't be out. There's no way, right? Jovic is their talisman, especially against us.
Yeah.
I can't see him not being on the field. So that's where they're at right now. Not a lot of turnover because they've kind of found their vibe. These are the guys that really stand out. Now, if I look again at where the goals are coming from, it's pretty even. Up top, yes, the target man has the most, but out on the wings, they're getting production. It's happening. I think our story is another thing. What are we going to do in this game? How are we going to approach this game? That's where I'm at. And I feel that because of where we're at and how consistent we've been, I don't expect much change. I don't think anything crazy is going to come out of this. I go back to you, Tony. I think the only real question we have is who is our center backs? That's
Well,
the only one that I'm really like, well, what's it going to be? Is it Long Murillo? Is it Long and who, right? Who are you going to go with?
I think it's Long and Murillo, but it's like that's not the other question I have. The question is are we going to use the same game plan that we did when we faced them the first time around? Of, remember it was Puig, like pretty much here's the ball, but you're gonna have to struggle through every time you touch it. Are we gonna do that same impact, or are we gonna kind of change it? Because again, I do believe it's gonna be Murillo and Long, but the main is the tactic of what we're doing, and that's how it will affect the starting lineup.
Well, I think having both both Sanchez and Atuesta out there, and Tillman, who doesn't mind taking a hit and giving a hit, I think they're gonna bruise him a bit. I think we're gonna take the game to these guys. I don't think it's gonna be the wait and see. I think it's gonna be the bloody their nose and then play them on the counter. I think that's what we do best. I don't think it's the wait and see this time. It is the Rose Bowl, right?
Hmm.
Neither side is totally comfortable there. I know they've gotten results and we haven't, but still, it's neither team's home field. Historically, yes, but for everybody on that field, it's not. It's not, right? They're not going to their normal routine. They've got to bus in just like we've got to bus in.
Hmm.
They're not getting taken care of at the same training table in the morning. It's a whole different thing. So we both have to treat it like a spectacle and go from there. But I think if we let them take the game to us, we're leaving ourselves a little bit into trouble. It could be a problem. Um, yeah, outside backs, I think experience wins the day, right? Hollingshead and Palencia. I don't see it otherwise. Your
No.
substitutes, you know who they're going to be, right?
Yeah.
Up top, I think Kamara's still your target man. He's going to keep them honest back there. He's got a height advantage in comparison to their center backs,
A
so that works.
height and jump advantage too. Vertical advantage as well.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
he's,
yeah. And then Bogus, I mean, this is crazy. Bwanga's got 13 goals. Well, how many does Bogus have?
I think he's close to that. Like, I think,
12.
yeah.
12. So as much as we've gone crazy for how great Bwanka is, in 9 games, Bogus has 9 goals.
Hmm.
Like, now it's coming from everywhere and it's high, right? And Atuesta and Tillman can get their moments, right? Hollingshead has his moments. In games that are grinders, this is when you get that Hollingshead moment. Again, it feels right. I do, again, for me though, I think Chanel might be the guy.
Hmm.
I'll lead into that if he's healthy. I think Chanel might be the guy because he knows how to handle those guys. I know Murillo's had, let's be honest, the most up and down games against this team. You're never sure which Murillo's going to show up against the Galaxy, and he has had some rough ones. So I would not be surprised if it's Long and Chanel for this thing. Stable. We'll throw it to you guys. I see a couple comments, but what do you think we're going to go with in this game? I think experience wins the day in this one. We're going to go with the guys that are going to get the least rattled in the moment. The kids will come in later as needed, put on a little bit of show themselves if needed, but we're going to go with the experience in this game. Have to at this point.
So I have the starting lineup before we go to that from the last game.
Mm-hmm.
It was, of course, Lloris, Palencia, Murillo, Long, Hollingshead, Atuesta, Sanchez, Tillman, Bogus, Boanga, Bogus, and Oliveira in the front. But again, no Oliveira because he's, in international duty.
But we played better without him. We played great with him, but better without him. I mean, Bogus doesn't get on the streak without Oliveira being gone.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't continue on, right? And Kamara doesn't get a chance to shine. He's got 2 now.
Yeah,
So
and then
it's been a little bit wild.
Yeah, and then
for sure.
Chanel comes off the bench, and the other substitution is Kamara, but then Kamara is starting now, so
yeah. I think the time for the youngsters in this, you could see the Martinez putting on a shake and bake out there, and they don't know what to expect from him. So maybe he comes in as kind of the odd man. Angel is ready to go. Duenas is ready to go if he needs to hold things down in the midfield. We can trust him to do that. He's in good form right now. Our left back situation, we're interchangeable now. Again, confidence is high even from the bench. Maybe that's where it happens for us is later in the game as the subs happen. Are they as deep as us? Well, we know the answer to that. They're not. That could be the story. But expect the unexpected. We'll leave it at that. It gets funky. All right. I see about 5 comments out there from you guys. Let's see what you have to say. All the way up, all the way up. Mendo first in there. He brought up, let's see, there it is. Por la Cultura sounds extra dope inside BMO, no doubt about that. Agreed. He also says Rose Bowl game may be different than past matches there, the team looking inspired. I will say this is the first time where their side seems super confident. Like the kind of we got this attitude, especially from their fan base. This is the first time where I really sense that vibe from them. Like there's a swagger going into this. And we all know that feeling. We've all had that feeling with this team, and you know how that ended up. As he knocks on wood over there. Yeah, because we've know this. We've felt this. We've had that disappointment in the past. You can't be overconfident, right?
No, we cannot.
Mendo says, could Chanel start with Long because I don't think Maria has sprint speed to keep up with Jovic. That's kind of where I'm kind of leaning towards. Tony's leaning towards Mario because when Mario does good things, he does really good things. So I see you on that one, dude. I'm kind of leaning towards that too. Mendo says, who has the better bench? Second half subs can be a difference. Well, we've got some goals off the bench on top of who we've got up front. I like the kids we have. I'm happy with how they fit into the roster. Again, we have an extra center back. We have basically 3 starting center backs right now. They're good to go. We have an extra outside back. Hollingshead can play on either side if necessary, so the depth is there. Right? Midfield situation, Duenas can pitch in. Bogus can drop back, and you can bring in one of the kids to play wing. The tools are there. Yeah, and they're gaining confidence. You know, on hell right now, he's sniffing a lot. He got one, and now he wants another one. Kamara's chasing history, and what better to get another one, right? Against these guys. I'm happy with where we're at. I know we're going to get better. We know we're going to get better. But for this match, I'm happy with our bench. I think it gels right now. I'll leave it at that. What do you think, Tony?
No, like I said, I agree with you. There are sometimes I disagree, but this one right now is just gelling too well. So keep the hot streak, keep it going, and don't change it until it's broken.
Yeah, and you look at their side, if you're talking about who's changing in and out, I mean, Neil could change out, right? We mentioned that. Cerrillo could change out. They haven't had the highest match ratings, let's be honest. Delgado could switch out. But who comes in for them, right? It's basically what? Caceres for Neil, Lepley for Delgado. I don't think that's enough at all. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm seeing from their subs that come in. Audi comes in, Miguel Berry comes in, Cuevas comes in. Again, they're playing well, we're playing well. We're even on points, guys. They have a lot to be happy about. They have a lot to be confident about. I do give them that. They've had a great year so far. That's why we call this one collision course. It's going to be tough. I think our bench is stronger, but they would tell you otherwise, right? Because they've seen success too. Hard one to see. I do know that, yes, I like what Jason says. Experience would be best. I don't want to get rattled in this game. It's easy to get rattled in a stadium that big. That's where I feel confident with what we got. Tony, your thoughts before we get ready to wrap things up today?
Like I said, it's a crapshoot. At the end of the day, like we can talk all these minor details to what they're eating, how they're training, everything like that. But at the end of the day, it's a derby game, and one team was going to show up really well. The other team is going to show up as well. And then it's just going to be on Lady Luck's side of which way the ball bounces that day,
And referee situations are always something too. Trying to see where the ref situation is. It hasn't been posted yet on my end that I've seen.
I haven't seen anything about it as
I haven't
well.
seen it either, but it's going to be one of the old heads, because it always is. And they tend to hold to the other guys. We know that too. We've seen dead ball situations handle this game. Those kind of things, right? Handling the dead ball situations, not making silly fouls, getting into card troubles. It's those little things. Those are the little things where, like Jason says, experience would be best. Yeah, it would be. Mendo also mentions, of course, we have the best player in the league, and last year last Golden Boot. So hey, you have the defending Golden Boot guy, a winner. You have the hottest player right now, which is Maddie, right? 9-9. You would think, right? But again, they're looking fine too. You can't play it that way. It's going to be tough. That's for sure. All right. Thank you guys for all the comments, all the love. Even on a Monday night, we're getting it done. You guys rock. I can't wait to see y'all at the Rose Bowl. I will be there. Tony will be there. Flags and voices and all that fun stuff. Yeah, it's on. It's game. It's time to get ready for this thing. That is for certain. Tony, I'm going to start with you giving your final comments because there's some things we should talk about for the Rose Bowl and the warning to this.
Okay. So be safe. Drink a lot of water. There's gonna be a lot of things going leading up to this. So keep your ears close to the ground is the best way to say it. If you have any, questions of what's going on, just ask your leadership and your supporter groups. Besides that, be responsible out there. Don't overdrink. They're looking. Again, keep your scarves tied to you at all times because they're looking for trophies. But other than that, let's just go in, show them why we are LA and they not like us.
I knew that had to come up. Everybody using that. That's okay. That's fine. I'll throw this out there. Look, the rules are pretty straightforward. They're almost the same as last year. We're on the golf course. We're parking on the golf course, guys. That's the side we're supposed to be on. So if you're going to go to the tailgate, golf course, all right? You got to be on the north end. We're the north end. What? Yes, the entire supporters, north end. Fans, north end. So park over there when you get there. Get there as early as you can because it's going to be funky. It's going to be hot. From what I understood, there's going to be some food options outside provided. Not for free, of course, for a lot of money, but they're going to be out there. Okay, tailgating is allowed. So you could tailgate, right? It's like that. I know. So be there, be prepared, have a good time. It'll be a very crazy crowd. Get there early, but be prepared to stay late. It's going to be a long night. There's going to be a big fireworks show after. And if you've been to the Rose Bowl before, you know it is a production to get in, to get out. It's nonsense crazy. Not my favorite place to see a game ever. But it is what it is. It's where we're going because it's got the capacity that they all apparently want. Now, other things to be aware of: if you do end up in their section, you will probably get booted from it. Even their non-supporter but Galaxy side, if the shirts show up there, they're gonna kick you to the other side or kick you out. So be careful on that sort of thing. Just know that we're on basically the north side of things, so get over there while you can. I know there's still tickets available, so if you're going to go to this thing, go get them tickets. But yeah, the free ones will probably be on the wrong side, but hey, whatever. You're in the building. You know how that goes. Other than that, just be careful, be smart, get home safe, use the buddy system. There are opportunists in this game, so protect your things. Rivalry. That's how it works. All right. On that note, I think it's time to call it, right, Tony?
Yeah, it's time.
Final word, my friend.
Stay golden, Los Angeles.
And from me to all of you, stay golden, Los Angeles, and let's get those 3 points.
Thank you for listening to the Heart of LAFC. Make sure to leave us a rating and review on iTunes or Stitcher. Shoulder to shoulder, the black and gold is taking over.